Once again, we have a lot more severe weather to talk about. June has been much more active than May was, including this large, slight, and enhanced risk for severe weather on Wednesday that includes a lot of large cities like Kansas City, St. Louis, Des Moines, Chicago, Indianapolis, Columbus, Louisville, just to name a few. And again, you don't see a day 4 enhanced risk every day, so that's pretty significant. I also want to go over the excessive rainfall risk over the next few days. There's going to be a lot of rainfall down there along the Gulf regions. Cool air is going to continue to funnel in, especially around the Great Lakes region, and this may set up a little bit of a bear clinic boundary up and down the East Coast, which is helping to promote some of the severe weather going forward. And we have a 20% chance for tropical development in the Gulf over the next 7 days. All right, let's get into the updates. Let's start with today's severe weather risk. Large marginal and slight risk out east, as you can see, and a little bit of a marginal out there through portions of New Mexico and western Texas. Our tornado risk today is focused out through portions of the mid-Atlantic and inner New England, just a 2%, but make sure you have a way to receive weather alerts. We do have a 30%, actually a split 30% chance for damaging winds today. That does include portions of the mid-Atlantic and then out there through portions of western PA, eastern Ohio, and then just to the south of Buffalo there. A little bit of a wind risk out there through portions of New Mexico and western Texas as well, and then just a 5% hail risk kind of scattered. Great Lakes region, inner New England, mid-Atlantic region, and then once again southern New Mexico and western Texas. So what's happening today? Well, let's take a look at our 500 millibar winds. We've got a nice jet streak out here pushing through portions of inner New England, Great Lakes region. This is going to continue to push out to the east. You can see our short waves developing here. This is going to help with some forcing and some lift just ahead of this jet, and we're going to have a lot of instability out here for thunderstorms to develop. You can see what's happening at the lower levels as we get into the late afternoon, early evening, a nice southwesterly flow here. And once again, you can see all of these short waves developing in here. Taking a look at our temperatures, you can see we do have a lot of cool air colliding with this warmer air up and down the East Coast. That's going to help with lift, especially with the instability we have out ahead here. So I would say, and you can see the bear clinic boundary is a little bit sharper up here to the north, and this is where we have our tornado threat today. So you can see these surface lows developing up here. You have strong forcing. You're going to have a little bit of potentially localized rotation. So that's why our tornado risk is up here through portions of inner New England and then the mid-Atlantic region. If we take a look at our reflectivity and the timing today, you can see a nice line of thunderstorms is developing as we get into the early afternoon, 1-2 p.m., really for all the way up from southern Maine, down through inner New England, through northern Ohio, and then into eastern Indiana. This may even extend actually a little bit further south through the Ohio Valley. We get into the late afternoon. This is pushing off to the east. Not really seeing a bunch of updraft helicity tracks on the HRRR. It's not showing a ton of strong supercells, but there is going to be potential in here for some damaging thunderstorms and even potentially a tornado or two. And then as we push in towards the mid-evening, you can see these storms are now getting a little bit closer out towards the coast. We get towards 10, 11 o'clock, and this may be the time frame we're watching areas of eastern Virginia all the way up through Manhattan. So we're looking at 9, 10, 11 o'clock potentially, so later in the evening. Really just scattered thunderstorms out here through portions of the southern plains. You can see as we get into around 2 or 3, we get a lot of thunderstorms igniting out here, but not really a consolidated line or anything like that. Very scattered, very messy. So just watch out as we get into the late afternoon and as we push through the evening hours. There's a lot going on out here, but nothing really organized. As I said in the intro, we already have a slight and enhanced risk for day 4 or this upcoming Wednesday. Again, enhanced risks out at day 4, not super common unless the SPC or Storm Prediction Center sees a setup that looks pretty volatile. Now you can see in the enhanced already, St. Louis, Springfield, Peoria, Quincy, Columbia, Kansas City, Trenton. These risk zones are going to expand. They're going to move as newer model data comes in and as we get closer. So don't just pay attention to exactly where this is. Again, it's going to move. Let's talk about why this day could be so significant severe weather-wise. Let's take a look at our 500 millibar jet stream. We'll start off with this and we'll push out towards Wednesday. You can see here as we get into Wednesday, at least the latest GFS, this is still pretty far out. But as we get into Wednesday early afternoon, you start to get a lot of short waves developing through portions of Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois. And then this jet streak really cranks up, and this is going to help with storm organization as we get later into the evening. Taking a look, and this is probably the most significant thing that we need to look at right here, the 850 millibar level. As we get into the afternoon hours of Wednesday, notice we have this feature up here. This is a large upper level low that's going to be spinning up here. We have a significant high pressure down here out in the western Atlantic. So your high pressure, these winds in the northern hemisphere rotate clockwise around a high pressure and counterclockwise around a low. So you have this, what we call a pressure squeeze in here. So you have two significant systems, the high pressure to the southeast, the low pressure to the northwest, and you're going to have an ejection of our trough directly through the middle of that. That's why they call it a trough ejection. The more robust these features are, this low to the northwest and this high to the southeast, the more significant your trough ejection can be. But right now it looks pretty significant. A very, very, very strong southwesterly flow at the 850 millibar level. And again, we're going to have some nice storm organization and short waves developing at our 500 millibar level. So this looks like a very, very volatile setup. It does, especially potentially, obviously, you can see where that enhanced that slight is. Just look at these jet streaks at the 850 here. And not only is this high down to the southeast helping with this trough ejection, but it's also funneling all of that moisture and all of that instability up into the Ohio Valley as well. So this could be a day that ends up going moderate or potentially even high. We'll have to see. There's still time. So we could see an uptrend. We could see a downtrend. Sometimes the parameters don't match up perfectly, but right now it looks very, very volatile Wednesday. Again, through portions of the Midwest and Ohio Valley. You can see what's happening with our mixed layer CAPE. So our instability on Wednesday, potentially 5,000+ joules per kilogram of CAPE through portions of Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. So it'll be there. The instability will be there. We'll have high dew points likely if we have that setup as well. And you can see what our GFS is doing on the future reflectivity. Those storms begin to ignite early afternoon, actually. And then as we get later into the afternoon and into the evening, kind of QLCS, potential MCS begins to form. Now, don't really want to look at the future reflectivity on the GFS 4 days out, but just to give you guys an idea, obviously these models are seeing a lot of potentially damaging thunderstorms on Wednesday. All right, I did want to talk about our excessive rainfall risk, and I really want to focus on the Southern Plains Gulf region down here. You can see today that slight risk, tomorrow and Tuesday. So especially down here through portions of central to southern Alabama, central to southern Mississippi, Louisiana, southeastern Texas, a lot of rainfall over the next 72 hours. Let's take a look at the quantitative precipitation from the national blend and look at that. So this is only about 100 hours out. This is just through late Wednesday into Thursday morning. We're talking a ton of rainfall down in this region. And actually, let's see, southern Texas, 7+ inches of rainfall potentially over that time span. So actually, maybe even shorter. You can see this would be Wednesday, early Wednesday afternoon. So we're only talking 3 to 4 days, and we're seeing 7+ inches of rainfall. We're seeing potentially 4, 5, 6+ through portions of Louisiana, Mississippi. So just be aware if you're in a low-lying area, flood-prone area, you have a way, make sure you have a way to receive weather alerts. Make sure you know what's going on in your area. Flash flooding is going to be a problem for some people. Now, as we get later into, towards the middle of this upcoming week and later into the week, you can see we start to get a lot of rainfall up here through portions of the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and then inner New England. Out west, nothing. You are dry. It's cool right now for a lot of people, but more cold air is on the way. Look at this, the center of the country, out through the Great Lakes region, getting down into the Ohio Valley, up through the Mid-Atlantic, New England. This is from June 19th to June 23rd. This is the Climate Prediction Center temperature outlook. And then June 21st to June 27th, like I said earlier on in the month, for most of the month of June, a lot of the center of the country, Midwest, inner New England, most of the areas in this region are actually going to average below average temperatures for the month of June. This cool air pushing out east, though, is, again, what's going to help set up a baroclinic boundary and help promote more severe weather up and down the East Coast, and hopefully more rainfall, because there are still areas, especially in the Southeast, that need the rainfall. Precipitation outlook, most of the country is going to see above average precipitation, still struggling up there in the Pacific Northwest in the short term, though, at least through the 23rd, 24th of June. Look at this as we get into Wednesday. We're talking 10 to 20 degrees below average up here through the upper Midwest. And then a lot of us out here are 5 to 15 degrees below average as we get into Thursday. So a lot of cool air is on the way, and that cool air is also pushing out through inner New England, like I said. And it's attempting to get down into the Ohio Valley as well. Look at this. This is what the Euro thinks for this upcoming Friday. We're talking 10 to 15 degrees below average through portions of Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. All right, the National Hurricane Center is giving us a 20% chance for tropical development in the Western Gulf, Northwestern Gulf over the next 7 days. The feature we are watching is actually right down here. You can see this is our low pressure system, and some of the models have this drifting north and staying over land. If it stays over land, we're not going to have a tropical storm or any sort of tropical development. But if it does float out over the open ocean, there's lots of deep warm water, which is important for tropical development. So it's something to watch. The rest of the tropics right now are pretty calm, though. Taking a look at the latest GFS, not really seeing much. You can see that it does have this low, again, staying over land. Moving forward, the Caribbean's quiet. You get something out here, a little bit of convection trying to rotate, trying to spin out there in the Western Caribbean. That kind of fades away. Not much going on. Eastern Equatorial Pacific, you do have a lot of convection. You have a storm trying to form out here, so that's something to watch. Overall, though, and you can see that the GFS at the end of this run does turn that into a decently strong hurricane, but again, that's the end of the run. Here we go on the Euro. Not too much going on. Once again, tries to get this thing going. This low pressure system here tries to turn it into a tropical low, get some development, really staying over land. Not doing much on the Euro. Gulf Caribbean staying calm. Overall, looking all right. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. Like, we're getting some TCG over land on the Euro, but that's probably not going to happen. Google DeepMind FNV3 does have potentially a tropical depression, weak tropical storm developing out here in the Western Gulf. You can see here the GenCast shows an opportunity as well. Super weak, even if we do get any development. Just a lot of rainfall, though, and that's why we're looking at those 3 straight days of the slight risk for excessive rainfall. Euro Operational sees it here, and then the Euro AI sees that potential as well. None of these, even if we do get a tropical system forming, has it stronger than a tropical depression or maybe very weak tropical storm. I really don't think, though, we should even have a 20% chance. I think I don't don't think we're going to get anything, but we'll see. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified anytime I post a new video or go live. I also run an awesome weather Discord that is updated daily with everything I talk about in these videos. If you want to join, the link is right down in the description below this video. It is completely free. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, or I'll see you in the next live stream. See ya.